today we're going to talk about juicy joints. We're going to talk about juicy joints. So the skeleton, I'm fascinated with the skeleton. The skeleton is the mover through space. So it's our bones, and our legs, the bones of our legs are moving us through space. The bones in our arms are having us reach. The muscles are actually the strings that move the skeleton. The muscles they're actually the strings of the puppet. You know, not that we're a puppet, but so the skeleton actually has two main functions, and one is that it's a container. So the skull contains the brain, the rib cage contains the heart, lungs, and so on, and the pelvic girdle contains the reproductive organs and bowels and so on. So firstly, it's a container. But the thing is, what's the point of having just a container that just sits there in the sand and can't move? So we have arms and legs that move us through space. And in order for that to happen, we have the joints, and the joints are what connects the bones. So we're going to go into the different ways that we can keep those joints juicy. So the lubrication for the joints is the synovial fluid, and we can actually lubricate our joints by creating movement in them, because as we create movement in the joints, it releases the synovial fluid. So just to make sure before you begin any of these movements that I'm going to go over, check with your medical practitioner to ensure there isn't a reason why you can't do any of these moves. They are very basic, and they are very natural, and it's the quality within each joint. So first of all, we have the ball and socket joint. The ball and socket joint is in the shoulders and where the legs meet, the hips where the legs meet into the body. So those are ball and socket joints. So when we do the simple movement of ball and socket, so with the arm, if we just roll the arm in and out, something very deep is happening within the joint. It's very subtle. So you think the exercise is called doorknobs. It's as if you're turning a doorknob one direction and turning the doorknob in the other direction, and deep within the joint is the ball. It's moving in the ball and socket, and this is releasing the synovial fluid. So it's the same thing with the legs. If you just lean back on your elbows and just flop the legs in and out, just like a child flopping the legs in and out, then we are rolling the legs in the ball and socket joint. So next we have the wrists and the ankles. So if we just do circles with the wrists in both directions, this is creating the natural movement that these joints are meant to do. We can also go flip them forward and backward and roll them both directions. The other hand is jealous, it wants to do it too. And then the same with the foot. Rolling the foot, making circles, and also you can flip forward and back and forward and back. Just feel the synovial fluid being released as we do that. Feels really good. So next we have the hinge. So it's again at the elbows and the knees. Now the thing about the elbow and the knee, it's kind of like a door in that it's not meant to go the other way. If you took the hinge on a door and pushed it the opposite way, the door would break. So we want to make sure that we always have softness in the elbow. We never lock the elbow back. And same with the knee. Just moving the knee forward and backward, you would never want to lock it back. And something that causes a lot of damage in people's knees is they don't realize standing with the knee locked back and putting the weight on it. That creates stress, and after a while the person will say, I don't know why, but all of a sudden my knee hurts, but it could come from years of locking that knee back. So the hinge and the elbow and the knee is a very soft forward and backward movement, just like opening and closing a door. Now, one of the other things that I do, which I love, is we'll go to the playground, or you can do this at the gym, but I like to go and hang out at the playground and hang on the bars, on the monkey bars, and just let the entire body loose and just shake out the whole body. Just like a Raggedy Ann type thing, hanging there and just letting all the joints be loose and just shake. It's kind of called jiggling the joints. It's really good to jiggle the joints. So I love to do that, and maybe one day when I'll take you to the playground with me and show you some of the stuff that I do there. So the thing about the joints is that the quality of joints is looseness. The more loose our joints can be, the more synovial fluid is being released, and of course, the less stiff the joints will be. So think of loose joints, loose joints. And thank you for joining me, and see you next week. Mwah.